Hello and welcome. This is Valerie Guillaume, and I'm here to do some expose on some persons working for the municipality, the regional municipality of Peel, which is a municipality in southern Ontario in Canada. And that municipality is made up of three cities: Mississauga, Brampton, and Caledon. But that's not my focus today. My focus is on the people who runs that city, that corporation. And even more specific than that, I am here to expose the actions of um, Christianne Commons, Leslie Moreau, Clare A, Aileen Baird, and I'm even going to go as far as to expose the corruption of the Commissioner of Human Services, Steve Jacks, because he doesn't do anything. And also, I'm going to mention Gary Kent, who is the Chief Administrative Officer for the region of Peel. And I'm mentioning his name because I've brought some concerns to him. And so, depending on how he responds to those concerns involving those public servants who work for the region of Peel, the persons that I've just mentioned. And I've also brought to his attention a pending lawsuit that is happening to at this time. So, depending on how he responds to my concerns, um, you know, he may also be the subject of some more expose because when you find corruption at the lower level, it usually means that it starts at the top and then it filters its way down to the bottom. Not necessarily, but sometimes that's how it works. So I'm going to focus on, I'm going to briefly talk about some of the people who run that region, such as for Peel Housing, such as Aileen Baird, who is the director. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about her today because I'm going to make a part two to this video. I'm going to focus on some people who are beneath her or below her, such as Christianne Common. She's really the focus of this video today because she's personally very, very corrupt and evil. She's an evil person. And the reason why I say she's evil is because I have seen her actions up front where basically she's personally involved in a conspiracy, I believe, to try to destroy my life, cause me harm. Okay. What she has been doing is to try to block my efforts in getting the subsidized housing in the region of Peel. Now, please note that this woman, her portfolio has nothing to do with the portable subsidy or the subsidy division. Okay, her portfolio is in overseeing the shelters, and I'm going to get to that because there's a lot of public concern in regards to her actions. I'm going to get into the fact about the alarming number of deaths at those shelters that she operates. One of them is called the Dundas Shelter in Mississauga. Another one is called the Carter Road Shelter in Mississauga. So she's the supervisor for those shelters, and she's absolutely corrupt. Christianne Commons is absolutely corrupt. She has a blind eye when it comes to the staff at those shelter, abuse of the residents, abuse of power, inappropriate conduct, such as conflict of interest concerns, where you'll have one staff, inappropriate conduct with resident, and that would be overlooked by the manager at the shelter. And then when that's forwarded to Christianne not only overlooks it, but also would call the resident a liar. So she's very, very corrupt. Okay. Um, but one of the most disturbing thing is the number of deaths. Also, what I want to talk about today in regards to Christian Commons as a supervisor over those shelters is the fact that the services that she's supposed to have delivered for the people who use that um, those shelters, they're not getting those services. Okay, they're not getting those services. For instance, um, they have bathrooms that is moldy and full of mildew, which is a public health concern. They have, of course, the number of deaths. I would say in the last 3 months, there have been at least three deaths. No, more, four, five actually. One was not inside the shelter itself, um, but there was a stabbing outside of the building, so that's going to count. And then there's been some other ones. So I would say within the last year, there's been more than um, half a dozen deaths, and that's alarming between both shelters. That is extremely alarming. That's a high number. And one of the reasons for that, I believe, is because they don't really help the residents there as they should. They don't provide resources where the resident can really go and get the help that they need, because a lot of those deaths, but it's not violent, it's drug related. So a lot of them are on fentanyl and things like that. And what their position is that we can force someone to use those programs while the number of deaths keep going up. Okay. Also, they have all of these people using the building, and the dorm rooms have no windows, which is a fire code. So I'm trying to show you the huge corruption that's going on. I'm trying to show you why the fire services under the Ontario Fire Code would want to ignore that when it involves public safety. Like putting all of these people in a room without any egress, without any means of escape. Okay, especially on the second floor of the building. There are no windows in the dorm rooms that the people live in, the residents live in. There are broken appliances, AC, eaters, mildew in the bathrooms, moldy bathrooms, and other things. Other things that should be of concern. So we know Christian Commons or Peel Region Housing is actually run by the Peel Housing Corporation, right? And so this money is funneled down through that division under Aileen Baird or whoever it is, and then eventually goes down to the shelters. And the problem is that the people who are supposed to be benefiting from those services are not getting the services. Okay. So not only are they endangering public safety, they're also not delivering on the services. And this all comes directly from Christian Commons. Okay. In my particular situation involving this woman, I applied for the subsidized housing. Christiane Common is not in charge of the subsidized housing. Her portfolio is shelter. What she has done is to ask that everything pertaining to me goes through her to be approved by her. And what she's been doing personally is to block my efforts in getting the shelter. And she's working with someone with the region of Peel Housing called Doris Oppong. Because you see, this is all a conspiracy. This is all conspiracy. They're working um, in this conspiracy to block me from getting the housing with the region of Peel, the subsidized housing. So I recently contacted the supervisor for Doris Oppong, Nicole Carasco. And what Nicole did, instead of getting back to me, Nicole just contacted Christian Commons. So she failed her She failed to carry out her due diligence towards me as the supervisor for this housing worker with the region of Peel, Doris Oppong. And she diverted it to Christian Commons. And Christian Commons now want to try to block my efforts in getting the housing. And I do believe personally that Christian Commons is working with other Canadian officials to do that. It's not just she and people around her. No, it's much bigger than that. And because of what I believe to be the case, because the evidence is coming out showing that is really the case, I informed her a few days ago that I will be filing a legal claim against her and Doris Oppong and Nicole Carasco and some of them, okay, for breach of contract. Because what this woman did was she misled me, or she had me to believe that she was going to, once the subsidy was approved, she was going to now offer me um, a one bedroom in one of their buildings, which she now changed her mind about, which I'm not allowing her because it's a breach of contract, right? Not only was it implied, it was verbally stated. So I informed them that no, you can't do that. And the more I look into the situation, I'm like, okay, you know what? I don't think these people were ever serious in the first place. I think this was all a conspiracy. And so now I'm thinking, okay, there's a criminal element to this. There's corruption, there's conspiracy, there's breach of public trust. So not only am I going the route, the civil route, plus it's also discrimination in services with under the Ontario Human Rights Code. So not only am I focusing on the civil route to go with this, I'm also now focusing on the criminal route in regards to Christian Commons, Doris Oppong, Nicole Carasco, Clare A, Leslie Moreau, Aileen Baird, all of them, because they're corrupt. They're corrupt and they don't benefit the public. Okay. She's evil, Christian Commons, because you're working with people who are vulnerable and she's taking advantage of that. She's abusing her powers. I personally do not believe that she should supervise the shelter because there's no evidence that shows that the people who use that service is benefiting under Christian Commons supervision or leadership. And then she's connected to Allison, who's the manager at the shelter. And so when a staff act inappropriate, it's covered up by Allison and then it's further covered up by Christian. I'm not even doing a good job in making this video because I haven't made one in a while. But I said to myself, this needs to be done. But there is going to be a part two to this video. And I'm going to go into more specific details in regards to the actions of these people involved. But I wanted to expose this woman today in regards to her personal corruption and how it doesn't benefit the public at all. It doesn't benefit the residents who use the shelter, it doesn't benefit the public in general. And she needs to be exposed. I also have a bigger concern with the people who basically run the government, the local government, the region of Peel. They are also corrupt. They are corrupt. They are all corrupt. Now, when I say they're corrupt, this is kind of like a broad term. But when you, for instance, contact your local city councilor and said, "Look, I need a help with this, whatever," they don't help. Those city councilors are also a part of the regional council. for the municipality of Peel. They're part of the regional council. So when you see their individual corruption up front, as a whole, as part of the council, they're corrupt. One of the biggest concern I have is racism, systematic racism, that is shown by these people in the region of Peel, by Christianne Commons and Leslie Moreau, Clare A, Aileen Baird, Steve Jacks, and even Gary Kent. They're doing nothing to erase systematic racism. They perpetrate systematic racism. And I'm focusing here on Christianne Commons, Leslie Moreau, Claire A, Aileen Baird. But it also involves those in the Commissioner of Human Services office, including the Commissioner himself, Steve Jacks, because I've had dealings with his executive assistant. They all have the same attitude. They all have the same, like, nothing gets done. They don't do anything for the public. They just acquire these positions, and they don't enforce the law when these public employees are inappropriate, or when the services that they're supposed to offer is not being delivered. They themselves, as part of the executive branch, covers up what those below them are doing. That's what makes it so corrupt. So, as I said, I'm going to be making part two to this video, and I'm going to go into more details in regards to the corruption in the region of Peel. So right now, I'm going to sign off, and this is Valerie Keel.